Hi everyone, so we just got a new hotfix for patch 1.1.1 and this is one that is a lot more than what it seems like. So if you have seen this, they are buffing Temerity's barrier to work with your maximum health instead of your base health. Now this is a very important distinction, and this was also one thing that they originally wanted to buff for this unique item. So what this means is that base health is what you have with like naked character with no stats, no paragons or something like that. And maximum health is usually quite a bit higher because you get a bit of increased maximum health from your paragons, you can have some rubies in your armor, you have maximum life rolls somewhere. And usually there's, quite a difference in the range of, something like plus 50% or so on most builds, maybe more. In some necro builds of, Bloodlands or something, you can have like 20k life. So that is quite a lot more than the base health at level 100 of around 8,000. So that was usually the cap at which barriers ended, basically. You cannot have more barrier than that. But what they actually did in this hotfix is, they didn't just buff Temerity, but they buffed all barriers to work with maximum health. At least those that I've tested. So I went in to try this out, and you can see this here. I have some footage where I tried to stack barrier, and you can see this here. My maximum life is 12k, and my barrier is 12k. So previously, this would only go to 7,959. You might have seen that number if you try to stack barriers. And now, well, it just works with your maximum life. And this was with Iron Skin and with Temerity together, for example. So there's like no weird, like, even higher barrier you can stack with Temerity. It just goes up to your maximum health. And even if you don't have Temerity, you have the same effect. So I'm showing this here. I tried this out on a sorceress without Temerity equipped. And I was just using ice armor. So I pressed ice armor. I got 30% of my life as barrier. And then ice armor has the effect that when you deal damage, you can stack up this barrier to a higher value. So I just blasted into a pack. And voila, I have exactly barrier equal to maximum life. And again, this is a character that does have a bit of life bonuses. So my base life at that point would be 2,000 roughly. And I had like, a bunch of life here, a bunch of life there. And I actually had 3,000 and the barrier went all the way to 3,000 now. Before this patch, that would have been 2,000. So this might just be like some unintended side effect of this change. Or maybe they just didn't really put this in the patch notes properly. But it is definitely a pretty important change. So any build that runs with large barriers at least will see a benefit now. So, something like Bonestorm Necro with the shielding aspect, like anything with Temerity that has an extra barrier. A lot of Stork builds, especially with the ice armor, you can have a much larger barrier now than before. So this is a pretty major buff. And it also means that for classes that don't have a lot of access to barriers, Temerity is actually a good item now. So right after the patch, I went in to try this out and, well, realized that they didn't fix the Temerity the way they said they would. And now it is actually so, but it's, yeah, like a pretty large change for all barriers after all. But Temerity is a good item now. I wouldn't say it's like best in slot necessarily for every build or something like that, but it's a decent item, especially if you can procure a lot of healing. And if you can also make use of the conceded aspect that gives you extra damage while you have a barrier. So if you combine those two effects and you have Temerity up all the time, that is definitely pretty nice. And that's also it. Definitely something to look forward to, especially for the sorcerers, I guess. Another pretty major survivability buff. So that is gonna feel real good, I think. Let me know what you think. Hope you enjoyed this video, and see you guys next time.